To what extent does Nyaope affect the parents of those addicted to the drug? What role can communities play in rescuing the youth from substance abuse? What are the long-term benefits of rehabilitating drug addicts? And what are the implications of Nyaope having been declared an illegal drug? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Mpho Tsedu. In 2014, the Ministers of Justice and Health amended the Drugs and Trafficking Act. Through these amendments, people caught using Nyaope can be sentenced for up to 15 years. Those arrested for selling the concoction can face up to 25 years in jail. As we celebrate Women's Month, we ask, how does Nyaope affect the role of mothers in raising responsible future adults? A reminder that this is a live program, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210, 089-110-4210, our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Thembekile Msani, who is a therapist at SANCA, and Quentin van Kerken, who is the director at Anti-Drug Alliance. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Maybe let me start with you at SANCA. How much of a problem is Nyaope?
Huge problem. You know, I believe that the whole nation, as a country, you know, we have a situation that we really need to look at in terms of Nyaope. It's growing, you know, even to younger children that we get to see, you know, on a day-to-day basis, you know, in our rehab. And it is quite a concerning matter that, you know, as the communities, as parents, you know, as schools, as universities, something that we really need to look at.
And how severely are the parents affected, realizing that it is young people who are using this?
Parents are extremely affected financially, you know, psychologically, you know, and even within, you know, not feeling safe in the environment in their homes, whereby they actually feel like I need to lock, you know, my bag in the cupboard and lock my bedroom, you know, and lock my doors, not to allow my child to actually come into my own space. They feel like they are living, you know, with someone they don't know in the house. And I think that's a huge, you know, factor that is affecting a lot of parents, even to concentrate at work and how and to deal, you know, with day-to-day lifestyle. And that automatically changes, because dealing with someone who is addicted to Nyaope, you know, their behavior changes, you know, their attitude changes, you know, their personality changes, and a parent stands there looking at, who is this? Is this real my child?
Yeah. Now, Quentin, should Nyaope be looked at differently from other drugs?
Look, I don't think we need to. We actually have to look at the way that the law has been amended. As soon as you look at Act 140 in 1992, we come up with a problem. And you know, I brought this up last year when it was actually amended. I said it's very fuzzy the way that they've actually amended the law, because all of a sudden you're actually criminalizing somebody that's an addict. Number one, so somebody that has a health problem all of a sudden becomes a criminal, and I personally don't think that the two should actually meet, because we know that addiction is actually a health problem. It is by no means a criminal problem.
Wait. Addiction is a health problem?
Yes.
How so?
Okay, let's explain it this way. A doctor with a pethidine addiction, is he a criminal?
Wow, I don't even know what is.
It's a painkiller. Okay. Let's say a parent or a person, any person with an addiction to Benylin or cough mixture.
Yes.
Are they criminals?
Well, probably not.
Does somebody that smoke, are they a criminal?
Oh, well, that's a habitual.
Is somebody that drinks a criminal? You see, now all of a sudden what that law's done, it has criminalized completely an addiction. And this is exactly where we get very angry from the Anti-Drug Alliance side, because all of a sudden addiction is now being criminalized. What we are saying is, let's actually almost never the two shall meet. We should actually make sure that the people realize that, yes, I understand that many addicts do end up stealing to feed their addiction. That I understand. You know what? If you steal a car or a television or whatever the case may be to feed your addiction, go to prison for the fact that you have stolen that television or car or whatever the case may be.
But it's a drug. What do you mean? It shouldn't be criminalized?
Okay. When did prohibition help anything? This is the question that we need to ask. Prohibition merely bans a drug. Does it stop the use of it? This is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Now, from the Anti-Drug Alliance's side, we have to look at the harms that certain drugs have on society. Prohibiting certain drugs, does it actually stop the use of the drug? Not at all. It just sends it deeper underground. The people that make the money are organized crime and drug dealers at the end of the day.
But even in this case, the manufacturers of Nyaope should be jailed.
What is Nyaope?
Well, that concoction.
That concoction. Let me tell you something. You couldn't answer the question because I can tell you what Nyaope is. Okay. Nyaope, the way that the classic Nyaope that we know that started over 25 years ago is dagga and heroin. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So the fact is that we're looking at a drug that's a concoction of the two. Now we know what dagga does to people.
Yes.
We know what heroin does to people. Where we have a problem is when the two are mixed. Yes, not a good idea at all, because all of a sudden you've got a chemical concoction that does things to the body.
So what should happen to the people who are manufacturing this?
Who manufactures it? There's no manufacturing involved. People buy heroin, people buy dagga. They mix it together, they smoke it.
Is there no way where they buy it in some form of ready-made?
Look, they do. To say that they don't, I'd be lying. But obviously, that's just for ease of use. Let's be honest. A dealer wanting to make money will just mix it in. Where we have a fundamental problem is that as soon as they do that as well, we don't know what's going in to that concoction, because there could be heroin, there could be rat poison, there could be a whole bunch of things that is very, very bad for the person, and therein lies the problem.
So, are you also saying that?
Not quite. I do hear his view, his point, but I'm dealing with those individuals who come to us addicted to this Nyaope, and it has really affected and infected them in so much way. And for me, yes, we might look at dagga, we might look at heroin, separately, but combined as a chemical that is dangerous. Yes, to say that that person is a criminal, it is something that we need to look at, constructively, because at the end of the day, it starts by somebody taking it or experimenting, for example, with adolescents, and then it ends up becoming a codependency. Now the body can't be able to function without this particular this drug, and then in order for him to maintain that particular habit, they need to steal, they will break the law. And that's why we also work together with the prosecutors in terms of diverting certain people to the diversion program, to look at, like he said, yes, we're not just dealing with a criminal here, but we are dealing with someone who is psychologically affected by this drug, physically as well, emotionally as well, and even in the community they come from. Because you find communities now, taking the law into their hands, that, this person, is interrupting, disturbing. Yes. But at the times, this person is not actually even seeing or realizing what they are doing. You cannot speak to somebody who's addicted and say, stop what you're doing. At that particular moment, they can't hear you, they don't understand you. You cannot really, take your opinions through to this person until this person is stabilized, whereby they come into us, we do a medical assessment, they have to go through a detox program in order for them to be clean, so that you can be able to work with them. And I must be honest, a lot of people that come through our doors, there are people who are intelligent. South Africans, are intelligent, they are smart people. Yes, we might look at maybe people boredom, a lot of people having a lot of time in their hands. Yes, that's something that we need to sit down and look at. How do we actually get to solve both the criminal side of it and the addiction side of it?
Hold the thought there. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, let's explore this discussion. The number to dial 089-110-4210. If you're outside the borders, 002789-110-4210. Perhaps you are an addict or a victim of perhaps some behavioral patterns of addicts. You live around people who are using the drugs. You've lost stuff in the house due to people who are addicts. We would love to hear from you. Those are the numbers to dial. Only after the break. This is Question Time. Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time, and indeed we're talking about Nyaope today. Thembekile Msani is a therapist at Sanka, and Quentin van Kerken is a director at Anti-Drug Alliance. Fanny, you are in Limpopo. Welcome to Question Time. Hello, Fanny.
Yes, how are you?
We're well. Thanks for the call.
Yes, for my concern regarding this topic is that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I saw on the internet saying that the cost of Nyaope is something like 30 rands. But if you can see rehabilitating somebody could cost something like, I heard somebody say it might cost somewhere around 250,000. Is it true? I just want to ask your therapist there.
Oh, that's too much.
Yes, I heard somebody said it might cost something like 150,000. I just want to ask your guest there, your therapist there. Thank you very much.
All right.
No. It cannot cost 250,000 unless I haven't heard of it. But normally we're looking at a period for 6 weeks. We're looking at 36,000.
36,000, right?
Well, that's,
it depends. Yes, that's us. It varies with different rehabs.
For instance, our program would cost nicely half of your program. Yeah. Our program comes in at 18, and it's about a 3-month program.
Okay.
So it just depends on where exactly you want to go. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what are the dangers of criminalizing this particular drug?
Dangers are thus. Let's look at an 18-year-old who perhaps has made some very bad decisions about their life, and they've gone to a party. Afterwards they all decide to perhaps buy some marijuana. Let's use that as an example. Somebody along in the car happens to have a bag of heroin. I'm using this as a pure example. According to the law, the fact that those two are just together in the same place makes it Nyaope. All of a sudden, those kids who might have just been experimenting or being stupid, just making some very bad decisions about their lives, suddenly are facing a 15-year jail sentence for the fact that they had both cannabis and heroin in the same place. Now it's Nyaope. There lies the danger.
Okay.
It's a very big problem there. What happens if the guy that had the heroin on him perhaps didn't know that he had it? It was put in his pocket at the party. I'm really making.
But why are you coming across as if you're speaking on behalf of users?
I'm not at all. I like to with the Anti-Drug Alliance, we like to look at harm reduction. Okay. And we also like to look at the reality of the law. Is the law being prohibitionist? Is it being too harsh? Okay. Or is it being unfair? And especially the new amendments to Act 41 of 1992 are very unfair, especially to addicts. We have to understand that addicts are people just like you and me. In fact, between the three of us, I'm the addict here. I was an addict for many years. Does the fact that I haven't used for many years change it? No, I'm still an addict. That's the reality, okay? But we have to look at the fact that addicts are people just like you and me that have made some very bad decisions about their lives and simply need guidance and making the proper decisions for their lives so that they can actually live a normal life.
Abrams, you're in Pretoria.
Hello, how are you?
We're well, thanks for the call.
Yeah, I've been watching the program here.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy there is not affected. We are staying with kids here, young boys. I have 2 kids here who are smoking Nyaope. I can't watch TV without them. I must be there as their parents. Nyaope is wrecking families.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the problem is with the dealers. The law must deal with the dealers, because now if I'm watching TV, when I go out, when I come back, there is no DVD, there is no CD players. I must always be on the lookout. It's affecting us a lot as parents.
Thanks very much, Abraham. And indeed, I mean, some of this stories, you think people are joking, that these fellows just take whatever they can, lay their hands on, just to get this 30 rands or 50 rands
exactly.
fixed.
I mean, people can just even take a pot from the stove and go sell it. You know, that's the extent of addiction nowadays, you know, what they actually can get up to, you know, removing clothes from the washing line, you know, so that's exactly what we are facing. And yes, we need to look at an individual as well, you know, where it actually started. Yes, South Africa, we are facing a challenge. It is a huge problem at the moment, but we need to actually sit down and delegate it and exactly know where do we begin. Because at the end of the day, like the caller just said, yes, there are dealers, but that's another category that we can look at.
Are they willing to reveal the names of the big bosses?
No way.
No, you won't get it.
You won't get them from them, because I think at that time when they come in, for example, into the clinic, you know, they're scared, they fear for their lives, and at that time they don't even know what's happening with them, you know. So we still have to help them adjust, you know, like Quentin said, they need to be able to live a normal life. So before we can look at, you know, a holistic view of addiction, who's involved, what begins in terms of dealers and stuff like that, we need to first, we're looking at the client that comes through our door to say, I have a problem and it's affecting my family, my parents, you know, are frustrated. That's what we deal with. That's what we work on. That's what we concentrate on first, because it's quite important.
Nonhlanhla, you are in Soweto.
Yes, yes. I've got a question. This is regarding how can the government intervene? Because I can see that the government is not intervening. I've got a brother who's from Nyaope, and these people are selling drugs because the police are always there. They're always giving them bribes. So how can we? Because of the government must intervene. And I was in rehab for twice, but nothing has changed. So I need that the government must intervene in this thing, because of this thing, it affects the whole family. As I'm talking about an experience, my brother locked everything, from food, sugar, from the bottle, cartons, everything. We cannot even cook. Sometimes we have to cook in the maybe a camera sometimes.
Okay.
It is very hard. I'm telling you, he said everything.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Nonhlanhla. We're battling a bit with the line there as well. But what can government do, really?
You see, I think we have to look at, number one, education. Okay, that's key. Educate the public about drugs and addiction. That's the first thing. Secondly, we have to look at the way that the laws are working. And I almost battle to say, let's re-look at all of our drug laws in South Africa and say, right, what can we do to make the situation better than what it is right now? The next thing we've got to look at is, people say arrest the dealers, you know, arrest the users, arrest the dealers. You know, there wouldn't be so many dealers if there wasn't such a huge demand. We have to look that the drugs are just like anything, any other product. It's a supply and demand thing. The reason that there's so many dealers is because the demand is so high. We have to completely relook the drug laws in South Africa today.
How so? What do you want? Do you want them decriminalized? Or?
You know, it's very difficult to say. And obviously everybody knows that the Anti-Drug Alliance's stance is we take a different approach, and we would say something like cannabis, we'd like to see legalized for medicinal use, for instance. But decriminalization may be one way of actually starting to gain a little bit of control. You have to understand that the people in control of the drugs at the moment is the criminal underworld. As soon as you start looking at things like decriminalization, and I say this very broadly, legalization, suddenly you take the control of that substance away from organized crime and you put it into the hands of government. Now all of a sudden we have frameworks, etc. in place. If we start looking at hard drugs such as heroin and crystal meth and that sort of thing, let's follow international best practice, where they actually have things like in Switzerland, like using rooms, where the guys are actually able to go in, use the drugs, and after a period of time they actually get offered treatments, etc., through the government at no cost to them.
What do you mean? Government must have some Nyaope houses where people go and smoke.
No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we have to re-look at the laws. Nyaope is a very, very tough drug because the fact is we also don't know what goes into it. Okay. Oftentimes there's things that are mixed in there that we don't even want to know what's going in there.
Archie, you are in Welcome.
Good evening to you all.
Yes.
If you could look at that gentleman's eyes, you could go near as the camera is zooming. There's something wrong with his eyes.
I think I'm going to ask one of our cameras to zoom into his eyes. Maybe camera 3.
Now, my point. Okay. My point is that now it's either he has been planted, and then he's running a third force group against our people and children in particular. Because there's no way you would defend what is happening now. Maybe on the other side, when I'm saying he's been planted, is that now he's far away from where the black people are suffering. Because I would ask him the first question as to, does he know of any white kid who is going through this, and the parents, what is happening? For example, he's defending what is there, defenseless. That's why maybe one could pay him a visit and correct him and say, this is wrong. I thank you.
Okay.
I didn't quite hear that last bit of what he said, sorry.
You are an agent,
yes,
that has been planted to come here and speak for the addicts and perhaps the not just the users, but also the peddlers, because you don't know what is happening in the black community.
Strange enough, our largest base of patients are black. I actually have a very deep understanding of what's happening in the black community. I realize Nyaope is a massive problem. I've seen the devastation that addiction, just addiction across the board, causes in families. Not only in our family as well. Yes, I may run the anti-drug allowance, but it doesn't mean that my family has never been affected by addiction. I completely, 100% understand what addiction does to people. The bottom line is we have where I'm coming from, and I can understand the gist of what the gentleman was saying. I'm not there for those people. What I'm trying to do is stand up for their rights and say, yes, they are people. Let us not lock them away for making some bad decisions and becoming addicted to a substance. Let's help them, not lock them away.
If I can just go back to the question of what can the government do, you know, from our side, you know, as Senka, we're looking at sobriety, for example, you know, and that is quite important that, you know, as the previous, you know, caller said, you know, in the communities, it is devastating. And I can understand the frustration. We need to also look at rehabilitation. Yes, we might have a lot of rehabs, you know, available nationally, but they are costly. And most people, you know, most of our clients and, you know, customer service, they come to us, they don't have the finances. So that's another angle that we need to look at. Educating the world about, you know, substance abuse, it's key right now. People are stigmatizing substance abuse. You know, it's like, you have this disease, don't come near me. You know, you are this, they are labeling people, they are judging people. And that's why we are faced with these challenges at the moment. And for me, it's so quite important that before we can look at all these other things, can we really look at what's happening to the youth of South Africa at the moment? Because they are suffering. Who's going to be our next leaders? You know, yes, we might not be able to say, can we take all of them to jail? Because, you know, going to jail as an addict, it's still going to be a problem. You will not be able to still come out clean.
So, according to you, what's the solution? Decriminalization or criminalization?
That's quite a challenging question, because for me, to be quite honest with you, I don't think, you know, making the drug legal is going to help us at the moment, to be quite honest. It's something that we need to sit down, and as I've said, we all have different opinions. But for me, legalizing dacha or legalizing any particular drug at the moment, it's going to be a problem, because at the moment we have, you know, a whole lot of nation who's affected and infected. So at the moment, can we look at who's affected, who's infected, and deal with that? And that's where I'm at. But legalizing it, I'm not for that personally.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching this show. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.